Welcome into this week's edition of Double T Insider. I'm Taylor Peters alongside Robert Giovanetti. Thanks so much for joining us. A really exciting weekend for Texas Tech baseball. A weekend sweep as they're on the road at Florida. Gio, that was really important for this team because not only did they win those 3 games, but two of them came from a really legit top 25 team in Florida State on Saturday and Sunday.
You know, we talked about this last week on the show. Going to Florida State, what a difference 6 years makes. You go in 2014 and you're going just for your RPI points. You're going just to try to establish your program. Now you go in there as maybe one of the best teams in the country and you take 2 from them on their home field. Not a lot of teams can do that.
And it was a really challenging one. Well, both of them really were, but you go to 11 innings there on Saturday and Texas Tech was able to kind of rally and pull it out for the win. And that was really important for this team because as we talked about on the show, they're trying to kind of learn to win in a lot of different ways, and Saturday really showcased that.
It had a real regional type feel to it, almost an elimination game type feel, and this is where Texas Tech is really going to excel throughout. So many power arms that they ran out there throughout the weekend that Florida State just could not manage that throughout those 2 games, you know, the late game on Saturday, then the 9-inning game on Sunday.
What was maybe the most impressive thing that you saw from this team on Sunday as they really had to kind of rally in that comeback victory?
I felt like Sunday when Florida State went ahead 4-1, and you're thinking, okay, this is them. This is their chance to get the split and take care of business. But this team has shown real tenacity all throughout the season to be able to come back to do that again there. And then again, you run a guy like Sublett out there who really throwing in the high 90s at one point. Another power arm. I know Florida State. Reading the Florida State comments after the game, they just said, I just could not believe the number of power pitchers that Texas Tech had out there this weekend.
And now finally, fans will have so many more opportunities throughout the month of March to be able to watch this number 2 Red Raider baseball team as they've got 16 of 20 games this month right here at home, and that'll make a big difference for this club. But Lady Raider basketball got back in the win column on Sunday with a major victory over TCU, the number 2 team in the conference. In fact, Texas Tech is the only team besides Baylor to sweep TCU in conference play. That was so unbelievably important for this team right now.
And so many people say, hey, what is Tech going to be like next year without Brittany Brewer? And Brittany is such a big part of what the resurgence this year, but you got in foul trouble early, and so you got to look at this team without Brittany Brewer, and that makes it even more impressive with Brittany sitting over there on the bench with the foul trouble. You're still able to come in and beat a very good team.
TCU absolutely knew exactly what they needed to do in order to put themselves in position to win, and that was to get Brittany Brewer in foul trouble. They did it when they hosted Texas Tech a couple months ago. They did it again on Sunday, but not only were they without Brittany Brewer because she was in foul trouble, they lose Boogie Johnson in the first half because she goes down with an injury, and then they're also playing without Sydney Goodson right now, and so all of those players really had to rally, and I think at the front and center of that was Lexi Gordon.
Yeah, we've talked so much about Lexi on this program, and we've seen a couple times, but that was really a huge performance out of her against a big opponent. She's so smooth, and she's really somebody that you can count on, it looks like, going forward.
Kristlyn Carr with a near triple-double, too. She had a career high, season high, I should say, in rebounds with 9, and so for a 5'5" point guard, that's kind of hard to do. It just shows effort, and it shows just the intent to try to get out there and sort of be aggressive inside to pull down some of those rebounds.
Yeah, and you talked about the players that are out. And the way that Coach Marlene likes to play the game and really push the energy and this fast pace, so that's even more impressive, the fact that you're shorthanded and you still don't take the foot off the accelerator at all.
Texas Tech men's basketball, though, didn't have quite the same luck on the road as they would fall in overtime to number 4 Baylor. You have to give Texas Tech really some credit to be able to take the number 4 team in the country to overtime. Obviously, it's not the result that we wanted, but I think that when Coach Beard and his staff will look at tape, they'll be able to pinpoint exactly the things that they maybe could have done better, and I think turnovers maybe would be one of the key components in that.
Yeah, I think if Coach Beard were sitting in this chair, he would say, we went to the national championship game last year. We don't take any moral victories and any loss. But again, they hung around, had a chance late. Just so many turnovers. You really hurt yourself late, especially late in the game with some really key turnovers. You got to bounce back, win the final home game of the year against Kansas. I think you're still right there in the mix for the NCAA tournament, but you don't want to take that chance. You want to get maybe another win under your belt to feel a little more comfortable.
And we saw a lot of players that we haven't really seen a whole awful lot this year, and Russell Chiwa, 7-foot freshman center, was one of them. He got his first career start.
I think, again, Coach Beard looked at the way Baylor hits the boards, and I think wanted to get some size out there, and you mentioned that. You saw a lot of guys that were able to get some playing time that we maybe haven't seen as much of this year.
The Red Raiders will look to close out the regular season this weekend as they host Kansas on Senior Day. Don't go anywhere. We've got more Double T Insider coming up after the break. Welcome back into Double T Insider. Geo Spring Ball is officially upon us. Texas Tech started on Tuesday. They'll be going throughout the entire month of March. A really exciting time for Coach Wells and his staff. Of course, he's got a couple of new additions there to his staff and so many new pieces to this team.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of speaking engagements over the last few weeks with Coach Wells, and I know he's very excited about getting back out there on the field. And you think just back a year ago, they're just trying to get familiar with the program and everything else that goes with it. Now they've settled in. Coach Schultz has had a year for his strength and nutritioning program. You can see it in the players, right? They just look different. They look more fit. I think this is going to be a different spring for Coach Wells, obviously from where we were last year.
Time is so important, and a lot of times that's exactly what you need to be able to really start to develop a culture or continue to develop. And so when you talk about nutrition and strength and conditioning, that is such a critical component of what Coach Schultz is trying to accomplish and ultimately what this entire staff is trying to do in their players.
Yeah, you hear Coach Wells say the way you do anything is the way you do everything, and I think they're trying to it's almost like you see it at basketball, right? There's a process, and Coach Wells is getting a chance to put in his process.
And actually this spring, Texas Tech is launching a new podcast series featuring Coach Wells and so many other players and coaches. Take a look at the locker room.
The biggest thing for me as a head coach is to create the atmosphere in the locker room. But it's their guys' locker room. I come in and we as coaches like to go through and see guys, say hi to guys after practice briefly. But I don't hang out per se. I think this is it's a players' deal. It has to be. There has to be the freshman to the senior connection. There has to be offense to defense connections. Since we've been here, we blew it up. It goes offense, defense. It doesn't old, young. It doesn't matter because that's starting to form bonds, and there's laughing, there's joking, there's some emotion, there's all those kind of sensual feelings in a locker room that I think is private to the players, and I try to keep it that way. Obviously, we got staff kind of coming in and out, but. I think it's a player's game. That's as a former player, that's what you do miss. You don't miss training camp. You don't miss those practices at certain points. We all understand when we choose football, we choose one game week and 5 work days. Or one game day, and 5 work days. That's just football. It's not baseball's the other way around. But we chose that, and so those Saturdays are precious. But this locker room time as a former player. That's what you miss. You miss relationships with your guys, your teammates. The guy that was a locker mate to me for 4 years at Utah State, he's the head strength coach at Virginia. So I mean that's the guy. People say, "Oh, y'all played together." I said, "No, he was right next to me." It's just those kind of bonds that you'll have forever, and that's something that I think this sport gives you, and really football gives you because of the numbers. It's a bigger game, broader spectrum. Crosses a bunch of different neighborhoods. It crosses different cities, ethnicities, whatever, religious groups. And it's the one common thing that brings all of us together. And the tighter that is and the tighter the culture is, in my opinion, that wins you close games.
Off of that, Rico, do you remember the guy that was right next to you in your first locker in the locker room here?
The guy right next to my first locker room? No, I really don't. But, I've been around some great guys. And then the locker room, it just helps build brotherhood. You're with these guys every day. You grind, you through like the blood, sweat, and tears. It's every day, You can always rely on the person next to you in your locker room. And, it just helps build that team bond that ends up carrying on throughout the season so you can be able to rely on this person when times get tough or when you're facing adversity.
So much exciting content that will be coming out, not only featuring the locker room, but everything from Texas Tech Spring Ball this month. You can catch all of it by following us on social media or by following Texas Tech TV on Apple TV and Roku. Don't go anywhere. We've got more Double T Insider coming up after the break.
"4 years, gone before you know it." From a wide-eyed freshman, leaning on hopes and dreams, wanting to live up to those Lady Raiders in the rafters.
Brewer is the first Red Raider to play in the Pan Am Games since Hall of Famer Cheryl Swoops back in 1995.
Victory is a 2-point margin for the Lady Raiders of Texas.
A little verge of history here at United Supermarkets Arena.
For Brew, catch, there
There's the triple-double! There has not been a triple-double in Lady Raider history when blocks was one of the components.
Breaking records and making my name one to be remembered. That was the dream. Not to be good, to be great.
Former Wiley standout Brittany Brewer was selected for Team USA.
Success isn't for the sleepers. Every day, I've worked to grow, to lead, to help make this team what it should be. This was never about the destination. It has always been about the journey and those who made it with me. But all journeys must come to an end, if for no other reason, so the next one can start.
Hey Brittany, I can't believe this time is already here. 4 years here at Texas Tech. Couldn't be more proud of you, sweetheart. You've been such a great leader. You've grown in every way possible, and we are so proud of you and so excited to see what your next step is going to be.
Hey Brittany, Dad here, so proud of you and your journey here at Texas Tech, all 4 years, and just on all the things that you've experienced here. Makes me think about you as a little ponytail girl in upwards basketball years ago when we snuck you on the team with Brianna, even though you weren't quite old enough. I'm so proud of you and the way you carry yourself, the way you represent you and your family, your team, your university, your faith. Just an amazing young woman, and so excited for your future. So we love you. Congratulations.
When you look at a career of 20 years for me and you do the math, that turns into X number of players that have had an opportunity to coach. And there are only a few of them that you consider to be extremely special people and extremely talented basketball players. And Brittany Brewer is certainly one of those very few that I've been extremely fortunate to coach. Brittany, we love you, and we know that you're going to go just be magnificent in the real world.
Welcome back into Double T Insider. Senior Brittany Brewer is considered one of the top post players in all of college women's basketball. She has had a fantastic senior season, and Gio, there's really no question about it. She'll be the first WNBA player picked from Texas Tech in really the last 20 years. You know,
it's funny when I don't know if you remember this, but one of our employee meetings, she spoke to the group, and I saw a real difference in Brittany. And you think about where she was as a freshman to where she is now, and the experiences she's had going through a coaching change, the Team USA experience, and it's led to where she is now. And you mentioned she's dominant, and she's going to hear her name called in the WNBA draft. She is a dominating player on the court, and she is a fantastic leader for Coach Marlene and for this Lady Raider team. She is adored by the fans, by her teammates, and by her coaches as well.
If I could pinpoint one thing that's part of this rebuild, or one person, it would be Brittany Brewer.
Brittany is so determined to be great. She wants to be a great player, and she wants to have great people around her, and she just works tirelessly.
Just how relentless she is in her will to win. She loves to win, and she loves celebrating with the team after a win, and it's just amazing seeing that, and amazing watching her grow day by day, because she grows every day, and she deserves it. She's been through a lot, and she's overcome everything that's been thrown at her.
She's really good at celebrating other people. It's not about her. She's very humble, which is admirable, I think. She's always trying to celebrate and lift other people up.
She'll be the first one to give everybody else their props, and I just want to be the first one to give her props. Like, she's just done everything that she can to will us to a lot of wins.
Obviously, great shot blocker. I think that's a given. I think everybody knows that. But I would describe her presence as, like, you miss it when she's not out there.
Let's say when we played Oklahoma in the Big 12 tournament, when she scored 40, she was just unstoppable. Nobody could guard her, and she was just in that zone, like nobody's stopping me. And it was the crazy part about it is she didn't care about how much she scored. She was just so happy to celebrate with the team.
She's had a tremendous career for Texas Tech.
Offensive numbers and defensive numbers that just are eye-popping.
And she has been consistent all through her 4 years here. She's had a tremendous season.
Don't be surprised if she has a monster game today.
Brewer.
For three! Brittany Brewer!
Yes, ma'am. There it is. 1,000 for Brittany Brewer in her career.
Brittany Brewer
Louisville.
Brewer doing one of the things she does best, and that's rebound.
Brewer on the follow is true.
And be careful, be very, very careful when you bring the ball in the lane.
Blocked again by Brewer. Denied. That's 5 blocks for Brewer tonight. Brewer for 3. And that will end the first half of play.
Brittany Brewer, I love you so much.
Brittany, I love you so much, and you're an amazing sister and amazing leader.
I love you. I'm so proud of you. I'm for you. I'm with you. We're fighting for you, and it's an honor to be your teammate, your sister, and I love you.
I've been really touched by you, and I love you so much. You're exactly what every team needs.
The team will celebrate Brittany tonight, Wednesday, against West Virginia as they host the Mountaineers for senior night. Don't go anywhere. More Double T Insider is next. Welcome back into Double T Insider, and a huge congratulations is in order for maybe one of the most decorated women's athletes in all of college sports, really. Sally Kippiego is one of the most incredible women's track and field athletes that we've ever seen here at Texas Tech, and really in all of the NCAA, and she was just named to the 2020 marathon team for the U.S. Olympics team. A huge honor and accomplishment for her.
You know, she was here last year for the Hall of Fame induction and talking to her on stage, and she was so proud of being an American citizen and that happening in her life, and the fact that she was running and still running, and she said, my dream would be to represent the United States in the Olympics, and now she's going to get to do it.
She just became an American citizen in 2017, and of course has represented her home country of Kenya before, but this will be her very first time representing the United States in the Olympics. Congratulations to Sally Kippiego. But it was a really exciting weekend for both the men and women at the Big 12 Indoor Championships last weekend in Ames. Both teams would finish second place, but it would really be Ruth Osoro for the women who would take front and center. She would claim the first place title in both the triple jump and the long jump. She was also named the high point winner for the women's side, and that award goes to the athlete who scores the most points for their individual team. Gabrielle McDonald would put up the second fastest time in program history in the 60-meter hurdles to claim first place, and Shanae Okoronkwo would be defending her Big 12 indoor title in the pole vault. Congratulations to all of those young ladies there. And on the men's side, Takadine Hadeli would win first place in both the mile and the 1,000 in dramatic fashion. And Gio, the Red Raiders were actually in position to be able to win first place, but Iowa State would just pack some of those last few races in the distance, and that's really what they're great at. And so that would finally propel them to be able to take that 10-point victory over Texas Tech to win the title.
Yeah, I got to watch it on the Big 12 Network on ESPN Plus, and you just knew there at the end that the way Iowa State had it stacked, that you didn't have a chance there at the end, but a great showing by the Red Raiders nonetheless.
Coach Wes Kitley and his team will prepare for the indoor national championships that come up on March 13th. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back into Double T Insider. A packed weekend ahead of us for Texas Tech as the men's basketball team hosts Kansas on Saturday at 1 o'clock for Senior Day. The women hosting West Virginia tonight, Wednesday, for their Senior Day celebration of Brittany Brewer. Tip-off at 8 o'clock, followed by a road game at Oklahoma Saturday at 1 p.m.
Texas Tech baseball home this weekend against Rice. 3 games starting Friday night and then Saturday afternoon, finishing it up on Sunday afternoon. And the Texas Tech softball team back home this weekend. The Janine McCaney Classic. 2 games on Friday against Fairleigh Dickinson and Delaware State. 2 games on Saturday against Fairleigh Dickinson and Marist College, and then finishing up on Sunday afternoon.
That's all of our time for now. Scheduling and ticket information is available at texastech.com. Thanks so much for being with us today on Double T Insider. For Robert Giovanetti, I'm Taylor Peters. We'll see you next week. And if you missed any part of today's show, head on over to texastech.com or download the Texas Tech TV app on Apple TV and Roku.
This has been a presentation from Learfield IMG College.